my dad has had these dreams because this is where kind of like where it came from. Like he doesn't know anything about this. Like he doesn't watch this stuff, and like he doesn't care. But he would always tell me that these things would come to him in the middle of the night, and he said that the women were very beautiful, but they were not from this planet, and that if he wanted to go with them.
Episode of Nitro Talks with new graphics here on the screen. And today I have the pleasure to have as my guest Manny from Figure Kingdom. How are you, bro?
Let's get spicy.
That was a
Let's have some
hell
fun, brother.
of an intro. That was a hell of an
Of
intro.
course.
Yeah.
That's my Vince McMahon right there.
Okay, so well, for the people that maybe doesn't know who's Figure Kingdom or well, what is about Figure Kingdom, can you explain to them?
Yeah, you're actually not the first person to ask me what exactly is Figure Kingdom. Like, I remember, like, I was talking to some girl online, and she looked at my logo, and she's just like, "What's Future Kingdom?" I was just like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, for those people who don't know, Figure Kingdom is he's a creator online. He does reels, he does tutorials, action figure photography. Every now and then, I do live streaming podcasts with my boys Real Shift and Rocco the Great from YouTube. And yeah, it's a little bit of everything though. But I guess my forte is action figure photography. Yeah. And I do that on Instagram mostly, but I'm also on Twitter, on Facebook, TikToks, you name it.
Okay, and the name. Tell me about that. Does the name have some story?
Yeah, the name Wrestle Kingdom was already taken when because I remember like I was watching the New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom, so I was just like, oh, that's a hell of a name.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, it's already taken. Oh no, that sucks. So I was just like, oh well, I'm gonna be doing action figures. So it's like, well, Figure Kingdom sounds okay. And I guess the name is stuck. So yeah, it's really that simple.
Okay. So what about we talk about how did you start on this world of photography?
How did I start? So back in the day, I used to go on the Wrestle Forums website. Have you been on there?
No.
No. Okay. So I guess Ringside Collectibles, if I'm not mistaken, like they have an online forum where there's customizers, there's photography, there's news, there's a little bit of everything. So I used to go on there.
That is still it's still working right now.
Yeah, it's still going.
Wow.
I haven't been on there in a really long time though, but it's still a thing.
Oh.
And so I would go on there quite frequently, and there was a guy by the name of Nate who he goes by the handle Ring Skirts on Twitter and on Instagram. And man, this guy had incredible creations. He would do like these like big scale, like old school classic arenas. Like he had like
this is
WCW.
I think he did like WrestleMania 4. I have seen that arena.
He's done WrestleMania 4. He did WrestleMania 9. He's done a lot of great stuff. And when I saw his creations, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. But again, like I was like, we'll probably never be able to do that. So I just remember like reaching out to Nate, and he was just like the nicest guy ever. And he helped me get started on like a custom ring. He made me like the ring skirts. He made me banners, and that's kind of how it started, I guess. But the figure photography didn't come until like years later.
Oh, so all the work that he did, like the ring skirts and everything, you just kept it for you.
Exactly. It was just for my personal collection. So that was like back in 2010. I want to say 2009.
Okay. And how did you decide like to say like, okay, screw it, I'm gonna post photography on Instagram or whatever social media?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a crazy story. I had broken my back and I had broken my neck when I got hit by a drunk driver. and so I couldn't, obviously I couldn't work, I couldn't move. It was very. I went from a very active lifestyle to
Yeah.
not being able to move around a lot. So
Oh.
before, like I was always at the beach and I was always, like running or at the gym, and then all of a sudden you have all this extra time on your hands. And so I remember like having this conversation with my nephew, and he was just like, what are you doing? It's just like you can't just feel sorry for yourself forever.
Mm.
And he was just, and I was just like, well, of course, like when you're in pain and, like it's just like, well, that's easy for you to say. Like, oh, I hate that, like even
Yeah.
looking back at myself now. But he's just like, look around you, look at your collection, look at your action figures, look at what you love. There's something here. Like you should do something with it. And so that's kind of how it started, just taking a few pictures here and there. And looking back, like my pictures were god awful. Like I still have a lot of them, and I'm just like, ew, what was I thinking though? But like we all start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I know about that. Yeah. Well, like, yeah, that's well a hell of a story. To all the
Yeah,
guests I had here, like everybody started like the same, like for like some reason, some random reason. Well, for you, well, this accident, and it's good to like to have you here. You know that you're okay. So
yeah. In a lot of ways, like all of this, like the collecting and the photography and the community, like in many ways, like it really did save me and rescue me, from like where I was at, because I was in a really dark, lonely place for a long time.
yeah.
But all that stuff is way, way behind me now.
Okay, so well, that's good. That's good. So we have talked a little. Before that, well, this chat or interview, you told me that you sometimes watch AEW, if I'm right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what can you tell me about AEW? Maybe you're a fan of some wrestler, or you like their booking, their ranking system. Why AEW and why not another promotion?
So I've been a lifelong fan. Like I've watched everything. From like
Mhm.
WWF, and then like the Attitude Era, and then like all these other promotions like WCW and New Japan, and then for a while it seemed like WWE was like the only game in town. It was just like, well, if you don't watch this, well, you're not going to watch anything. And
Yeah,
it just got, I hate to be negative, but it just got, like just very, it felt like I was watching the same show every
over,
single week. Like
yeah,
nothing,
over and over
nothing ever
again.
changed. Nothing
Yeah.
changed. Like if I took 6 months off and then came back, you probably wouldn't miss that much. That's how
Mm.
it felt like to me. So when the word got out that AEW was coming, and of course, like you hear these stories before, you're like, oh, is it really though? Like you've heard it before. And then now they're starting to do these press conferences. And then now you have, like the Young Bucks and Cody kind
Yeah.
of show up, like in the parking lot of arenas and stuff like that. And they're making a lot of noise. Fans are showing up, and it's gaining a lot of interest. And now it's just like, yeah, I want to, I want to be with those guys. Like it reminds me, like the NWO from back in the day. Like these
Yeah.
renegades just taking charge and this fun new promotion, and it's dark and it's exciting, and not everything is going to be so pretty on like Monday nights. Like on Raw, it's a little bit unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. Like you have two guys in the ring, and for the most part, who's going to win when you
Yeah.
watch, like a Raw or SmackDown. You're
Yeah,
like, oh,
that's
these
right.
guys are. Oh, well, yeah, this guy's going to win for sure.
Like what like
Oh, they,
happened yesterday on the main event of Dynamite.
yeah, you didn't know what exactly was going to happen, and I love that. I love not knowing, even if it doesn't go my way.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel insulted. It's just like, oh, okay, well, I can see that happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what attracts it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I watch AEW because I think that it's a different product. They have like different minds, and I think that WWE is for like more commercial. I don't know how to tell you, but it's like more entertainment than wrestling. And AEW have a little of entertainment that is good, but they know about how to put a good wrestling match. So I think those are the difference. You know,
Yeah.
I can relate AEW, like it gives me vibes of the Attitude Era. You know, something like
Hmm.
that. That spicy. You know, those promos. They don't have fear. I kind of hate when they like their promos like they have a pop of the crowd when they mention WWE because I think that's a cheap pop. You know, um, but for me, AEW is a different product. I watch AEW like every Wednesday. I sometimes forgot that Rampage is still a thing. You know, it's a thing because after SmackDown, okay, for me like my routine is always to watch Raw, SmackDown. You know, um, and that, you know, so SmackDown ends, and I'm like, okay, well that's it. You know, no more wrestling for this week, and then I was like, oh, I have Rampage. Rampage is right now live, and Hook is having a wrestling match, and I forget it, but I still love in AEW. I have some figures right there. Their characters are amazing. So yeah, so AEW for me it's a great product with a great vision, and I hope they they have more years to offer to the wrestling fans.
Yeah, it seems like they're still, like trying to find their voice. They're trying to
Hmm.
find their groove and their audience, and I think that they're doing it quite well. Like same thing for me. Like Rampage is still like a relatively new show. It
Yeah.
doesn't have, like I believe, like SmackDown has been on, like over 20 years or so. So, it's ingrained into your mind, like whenever you see, like the golden arches at McDonald's or, like
Yeah.
things like that, or, like Mickey Mouse's like ears. So you think Disney. So it's only been around, like a short while. So I still think that in a few short years, though, that they're going to make a lot more noise than they are now.
Yeah.
But they're off to a great start.
Yeah, they have like great matches, you know. As you said, it's very unpredictable, and that's what I like
Hmm.
because I want to be like on a wrestling match. You feel that emotion of you don't know who's gonna win, like a wrestler connects a finisher, and you say, oh, maybe here the match is over, but it's not, and the drama continues on the match. Storytelling at its best about what happened yesterday with Punk and MJF. Storytelling 100%, and I love that. I love that, and I know WWE can offer that, and they know that because, but well, for some
Yeah,
reason,
like Wardlow seemed to be, like the giant variable there.
yeah,
Like for a few weeks now, like there's been tension between him and MJF. So it's just like, wait a minute, is he going to come in and is he going to clean MJF out? Is he going to cream him, or is he going to be on, like against for Punk? So you
yeah,
didn't really know. And yeah, I mean, at the end, I was kind of flabbergasted. I was just like, no. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, it's their first match, so it makes sense for MJF to kind of go over. He gets the rub. CM Punk loses nothing. And, like their next match, that it's just going to be that much better. And it's probably going to be on pay per view. And
yeah,
it only, like prolongs their feud. So I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, and maybe Punk versus Warlow for a pay per view. Like,
Yeah.
I
I mean, we
wouldn't be
saw the way that it
surprised.
already went last time.
Yeah,
Poor Punk got, like all those power bombs. And
yeah, like 10 power bombs and a guy, yeah, put a roll up and when that was great. That was great.
yeah, when I saw that too, because I'm a massive Bret the Hitman Hart fan.
Okay.
When I saw that, I immediately knew what they were going for. I was just like, oh, that's Big Daddy Cool Diesel versus Bret the Hitman Hart when the Hitman's basically got nothing left.
Yeah.
And Diesel is like holding him up, and the Hitman's just slumped over. He's got nothing left, and he's kind of playing possum. And then next thing you know, he just rolls him up, and
Yeah.
he ekes out a win, which it makes sense though, because the guy that's physically imposing, kind of like Wardlow, and then you got a guy like Punk, much smaller, not that big of a frame. So how is he going to outsmart this bigger guy who's a lot more powerful?
Yeah,
and so it makes sense. I didn't feel insulted at the end of the match.
yeah. That's how the roll up has to be booked, you know. But well, those are another topics that I don't want to discuss because if we discuss about what WWE does wrong, this video will be about 6 hours. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So imagine that I'm someone new. Well, I'm relative new to this photography, and I ask you, what do I need to what do I need to make a good job at photography? You know, what do I need to do good stuff, to have quality content on my page?
So I get these messages every single day, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and I always make sure to respond to everybody because nobody wants to be left on red.
Yeah,
Because that was me at one time. Like you reach out to some of these bigger photographers, and then they think that their stuff don't stink, and then they leave you on red, or they give you, like misinformation. It's just like, wait a minute. So I always try and like steer people down the right path. And so the first thing that I always tell people is, all right, make sure that you're having fun. That's priority. Because if people see that you're kind of, just like winging it and, just doing this, to maybe get some free figures, then it's not going to seem authentic. So make sure that you're having a blast. Get your favorite drink, set the tone, put some good music on, or maybe a podcast, really get in the mood, and get yourself some quality lights. That's the
yeah,
first thing. Like invest in some. Doesn't have, you don't have to break the bank, but some nice quality lights. That's the first thing, and some sort of background. And if you don't have the money for a background, then a black poster board works. And I've done reels. Like for those who don't know, like I've shown real tutorials on my Instagram page on
yeah.
how to do figure
That's very
photography.
good.
Like with like a minimal budget. What a poster board's what like $150 or something like that. Like at Walmart. Um, the only expensive thing that you would really need is just like good lights. But even if you don't have that, you can still make do with what you have.
Yeah,
So yeah, just a black poster board, your basic ring, and just focus on like simple things first because people are like automatically, well, how do I do like the high flying moves? It's just like, okay, well, make sure that you master the basics before you tackle on anything like a little bit more extreme. So work on things like posing. Try a basic move like a body slam, or try some submission moves like a Boston crab or an arm
yeah,
bar, or like a chair shot, something relatively easy, or easier than usual. I shouldn't say easy, but you know, before you tackle on, like a big move, like a splash off the top rope or something like that. Because it took me 2 years, to be honest with you, to even do some of the string work that like I'm used to now. But I wanted to feel really grounded, like in what I could do, like lighting wise and composition wise and stuff like that, and posing. So yeah, just start with the basics, and
yeah.
make sure that you're having a blast. Because if you're having a blast, trust me, people watching at home when they're scrolling down their timeline, they can tell if you're having fun or not. Because I am all the time. Every day that I get in that studio, man, I'm having a blast.
Yeah, that happened to me. That well, I like for some time like I left photography and I was like okay, focused on YouTube, you know, on the videos, on creating like some more content. And why? Because first I was like okay, what else can do? You know, I'm always doing the same, and I always personally looking to do like something new. You know, that's my mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But then you know, I have tell this. I think that on the MBG, when MBG was my guest on the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have like a stick to put the strings. I hold the strings with my hand, with one hand,
Okay.
and with the other I take the photos with my phone. So yeah. So and
Do you still
then
do that now?
yeah, I'm still doing that. I don't have a camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I always do that. Um, and yeah, because that's
You
how I
should try a
started.
broom. like a broom. That's what I use. I use a broomstick.
Broomstick.
I use, like, people ask me all the time. They're like, "So what do you use?" And they're thinking, like I have this expensive, elaborate, contraption. I'm like, no, I legit have trash doing the job. I used an
Yeah.
old lamp, and then I get a broomstick, and I use like tape, like electrical tape, and I wrapped it around, and it's literally garbage. And then on the other end, there's a trash bag full of like trash and water bottles just to kind of balance it out. And I have a painter stick that I just taped on as well with the electrical. I'll send you a picture after this chat. It's
Yeah.
crap. It does not look pretty, but it gets the job done, and it makes it a lot easier. So try something like that. Like go in the woods and find a stick or an old broom and try that.
Yeah, I'll definitely like. I have tried. Like I have tried to do like to put a stick and everything, and it looked good. I think I have like two photos with a stick I found like on a basement. But then I realized, okay, so I'm gonna tell you. The main reason I started like this Nitro is because I always like watch big fets and everything like content on YouTube about figures. So I said, okay, when I have my big fed, so how do I start? I don't know how to pose. I don't know about how I to put the lighting, and I don't know basically how to book a match. I don't know how to design. So I said, okay, I can I can resolve the problem of the posing if I do some photography, the same with the lighting, and I start taking photos of different moves. Then I see that the people really likes it. When I start a page on Instagram, I didn't even know that there were guys like you, like MG, like Carl, or like Dylan, out there on Instagram doing the same.
Mhm.
And then on the road, I found your page. I found all those guys that do an amazing job, and I say, oh,
Oh
like
yeah.
he doing that. This move looks better. And why? Oh, because he puts the leg like this, the arm like this, the light makes the expression look different, and everything like that. And I learned. Okay, but the main reason for me is because I want to learn to do something else. But on the road, like I like to do photography. So when I feel like inspired, okay, I have my 2 weeks of doing photography like I had recently, and now I'm not doing photography because I just filmed a rumble that was no sleep for me, literally, like going to bed
Yeah. It's a
3
big
a.m.
project.
Yeah, 3 a.m. to bed, like going up 8 a.m. like all the days
Oh
filming,
wow.
filming on my phone, like 3,000 photos, and yeah,
Wow.
yeah, bro,
3,000.
3,000. And last year was 4,000, 4,000, and some hundred. For year was more
Whoa.
photos, and yeah, it
Like
was.
every day at the end of like a session, whenever I'm like in the studio, I'm about 1,000 photos or so. So when you're saying like 3 or 4,000, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, for me, bro, like I I don't have the experience of doing matches. So
Yeah.
the first match that I filmed, like on Pigfed, was the Rumble from last year, you know, and that was a pain because that was my first match animating and doing a Rumble. I like that moment. I said, "Screw it! I'm going to make my debut like on the big screen," and like I had to do it like on 5 days and record like film on 5 days, and I had 2 days to edit the video because like on a week on that moment I was going to the beach.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, like I'm doing this, I can do it. It won't be that difficult. First day I was tired, my back with all the lights in the studio, my face, and I was like, bro, this is a pain, and I'm the day has end, and I only has made like 4 entrants. They are 30, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult video, but I have learned a lot doing the rumbles. So
That's
well,
how I get like during the summertime because Like at my house, I kind of like to have things kind of tidy and neat and everything in their place and everything in their case. So I moved my studio into the garage. But the crappy thing about like where I live is, well, I live out in California, but when people think California, they think, oh, San Francisco, Los Angeles, you live near the water. No, 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 my friend. I live more inland where it's super hot. It's dry. There's no stores. I live out in the middle of nowhere where there's fields and cows. And so during the summertime, it can get up to like 110, 113-degree weather,
Oh,
So outside, all I have is just like a fan. I don't have, like the AC blowing in my garage. So
yeah.
like I remember last summer, I had to even shave. I shaved my head because it was so hot. I was in the studio and I was just like, I can't take this anymore. So it was kind of like that scene in the Sandlot, when like Squints has had a lot, and that was kind of myself. I was just like, I can't take this anymore. So I went
Yeah.
inside and like got the clippers and I buzzed my hair and I was just like, ha, that's dedication to the hobby. And so yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
it
yeah,
grew
that
back, and so
happens.
like in the like in the wintertime, like it gets really cold out there. But I was just like, well, it has to be hard, Like I'm trying to make it harder for myself. That way, if I get like any kind of like positives from this, it'll make it that much more sweeter,
Yeah.
because I really worked hard for it.
Yeah, hard work always pays off. And that's the thing that I have proof, you know. And so if anyone watching says, no, I'm not gonna take the risk to do that, just take it. Because there is always a reward. And yeah, so that's like the main reason I'm not doing like photography right now. I have a photo prepared, like, and a reel, like, recorded. I have everything like ready to post, but what I have to do is like record my voice for the reel.
Okay.
But but with the Bigfoot, I finished the rumble, and now I took like 2 days off. Like, I took 2 days. I watched Prison Break. That's my favorite series. I for a second time I finished the series, and then like say, okay, I have to film again because I'm doing the first pay per view of my Bigfoot. So
Mhm.
yeah, so for me it's very funny because I love like booking and all that stuff, to book a match, to book like a storyline. For me it's wonderful to do that. I really like enjoy to film a match.
Yeah, at the end of it, don't you feel, like very accomplished? Be like, you know what? I'm really tired.
yeah,
But even if no one else likes this, I don't even care.
yeah,
Like I like it, and that's what matters.
that
So what I like about your stuff is that
that was I
it's
about
very
to say.
colorful. Yeah, what I like
Yeah,
about your stuff is, like whenever I come across, like your photos or your page, like everything's very colorful and very
yeah,
vibrant.
thanks.
Like your stage and your logo and like the posing, and so yeah, like that's what grabs
Yeah, I
me at
always
least.
try
Like
that.
the colors.
Thanks, because like I started on Instagram. I don't know if you have seen my old stuff. Like
Oh yeah, I've
my
seen everything.
yeah, my pictures were like with two colors on, like, coming by the side, and yeah, that was my style. But then I said, like, I don't know, maybe I should change it. And then was I had like my a week that I like put like over the saturation of the picture. Yeah, for some time I did that, and then, like, well, I basically there I got like little bored about photography, and I took like a break. Then I returned, and on that period of break, I learned how to manage the colors on Photoshop, because with all of this of Nitro, I have learned a lot of Photoshop. Photoshop, like, and now I'm doing commissions for graphics. I do my logos. I do all my stuff. The stuff you are going to see this in the video. For the podcast, my thumbnails. I edit my photos, my match cards, logos, everything, and I have learned a lot. And not only that, I have learned to think and to say, okay, this looks good. I have learned to have like I don't want to say creative, like a mind of kind of designer, you know. So yeah,
Yeah,
so for me, it's okay, you know. I hope this year I have the time that I need to make this page like even better, because I'm going to my first year of university. So I don't think
yeah.
I don't know
Well,
how.
if you really want something though,
Yeah,
like you'll make it work. Like with anything in life, like people want to lose weight or people want to get a better paying job or whatever. If you really want something, you'll make the time.
yeah,
Like people say like, well, I don't have the time to do this. It's just like, bro, really? Like what? You can go to work 8 to 10 hours a day. Well, that still leaves you, with like a lot of hours left in
mm,
your day, you know. So yeah, you can make it work. Trust me.
yeah,
Just that what I usually do is I write everything down, all of my goals. All of my goals for the year, and then all of my goals for the week. That way, like I'm always looking at, like what I have to do left.
yeah.
Because it's good to be goal oriented. Um, so yeah, I recommend just doing that. Like grab not even on your phone. Like I'm talking pen to
Paper.
paper. Like write every single thing that you want to do, and
Yeah.
yeah, you'll be shocked at how much stuff you'll cross off that list.
Yeah, I imagine, because how would I feel, you know, of not accomplishing that, you know? I can imagine.
I was
Yeah,
Yeah, because like I spent like 10 years just not being able to do anything. Like when I was sick and I was like confined to a room basically.
oh,
And so I told and so I told myself, I was just like, you know what? When, because it wasn't like an if I get better, it was just like when I get better. Like
yeah,
it took me a really long time, but I was just like, well, when I get better, I'm gonna do everything. And like now that I have like my quote unquote second chance at life, I'm not taking a back seat anymore. Every single thing that I wanted to do, like I'm doing it now. And it sounds so crazy, you know what I mean? Like in my own mind, I'm just like, geez, like you've come a hell of a long way. But yeah, I'm getting to do all the things that I wanted to do. And I've done some incredible things already just this year alone. And within the next few weeks, there's a major announcement coming to the page. Nothing that I
wow,
can, like announce, something yet. Only like a couple of people, like know, and like of course my family though. But
okay,
yeah, it sounds freaking crazy to me just even thinking about it. So yeah, it
mm,
all starts with writing it down. And once you write it down, like you got to tell a friend. That way you make yourself accountable for it.
okay, yeah,
You gotta get like you gotta pray about it too, because like the big man upstairs, like he takes care of me. Does he's in charge, not me. So yeah, that's basically like how I do it.
and
So
this
yeah,
announcement
give it a shot.
it's a dream you had.
Yes,
Oh, okay, okay,
it's a big dream, and like I said, it's nothing that I can announce yet. But
yeah,
the deal is done. But
mm,
yeah, within the next few weeks, I should be making like just a big announcement though. So you're the
okay,
first person that I kind of hinted around, like
okay.
that's in the community. So
So
there you
you
go.
heard it here.
Yeah,
So well,
Nitro talks.
it's good to know that people is accomplishing like these dreams or goals. Like, yeah, like people can know that it's possible.
Oh, it's
Like,
100%
yeah,
possible. Because I was, like that cynical guy, like back in the day. I'm just like, well, he's got daddy's money, or like all these excuses, or well, he
yeah,
went to school, and now we live in unique times where you don't need to go to school anymore for anything.
yeah,
Like think about it. You have all these like amazing tools like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram. Like if you're trying to be a musician, well, you have YouTube. You
yeah,
could tag all these companies and all these people. Whereas back in the day, you couldn't do any of those things. Say
yeah,
if you wanted to be, like a world class chef, like you can make an Instagram and you can make these reels and you can make money and
yeah,
like you
exactly.
you can have a following. Like college, and like, and hey, I'm not knocking education, but you don't need an education
Yeah,
anymore, to make it.
yeah. Okay. So well, I want to know like if this spoils your announcement. So tell me, you can answer it. But what's the biggest goal? Like, what's the goal of Fear Kingdom project? Of the whole Fear
I,
Kingdom brand. What's the goal?
I've got a lot of goals, man. Man, are you
Uh,
ready? Do you got like
the
six
dream.
hours?
Tell me the
You
dream.
got six? You got 6 hours? I know like, okay, so I've got a lot of them. So one of the big goals, though, like I feel like I've done a lot, um, but one of the big goals is to help other people, like achieve their goals. Because it's cool to
Okay.
have things. It's cool, to like be able to buy stuff and like have like work in relationships with like whoever. But if I can help out, like somebody else who's just starting, or who's just like kind of like struggling, to like get to the next level, if I can do that, then hey, that's a major, major, accomplishment for me. Because like I said earlier, like I had guys who would just ignore me like in the beginning, and nobody likes that. So if I
Yeah.
can be, kind of like one of those leaders or pillars in the community, like long term, that way, like 5, 10, 15 years after I'm gone, people can like remember, like, oh, that Figure Kingdom guy, like he was a pretty cool guy, like he helped me out. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big things.
Okay. Yeah. That's really like good to hear. People like wants to help another. It's really good to hear. I remember like there are always like guys hitting my DM saying, "Oh, how much for that graphic?" And it's cool to know that people like wants like my work. That they are saying like, "Okay, so I want this graphic. It's in your hands."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's really cool to know that. And for me, to have like my own money. I think I have told that on the Danny Meltzer episode that with the money of the graphics I buy my figures. I don't anymore. I said, Mom, Dad, can you borrow me some money for the figures? No, like, and I feel proud of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because and well, that's something I feel proud, and something like it was like my goal. And I also have learned to how to manage my money. That's something that,
Yeah.
yeah, and for me like
That's
17
awesome, man.
years 17 years like I'm selling graphics, and like earning my own money, for me it's a lot right now. But yeah, so 2022
Hey,
for
it's just the beginning.
yeah,
It's
it's
just the
just the
beginning,
beginning.
for you.
Yeah,
Because we all start from like meager beginnings. Like we all have like our own goals and where we see ourselves and stuff like that. Though, so it's cool that like you, because what we do, like you basically make something from nothing. So
yeah,
you made something, from nothing, and
nothing.
now like you're reaping the benefits from it. And
Yeah.
just I've got to commend you on that. Like you should be proud of yourself and do a Barry Horowitz and pat yourself on the back. You might be a little too young to remember Barry Horowitz. Do you remember that pro wrestler?
Jerry Harold.
No, Barry Horowitz.
No.
It's he was like a quote unquote enhancement talent, from like the 80s and 90s, and he never won. I can't recall him ever winning a match, but his gimmick was that he would always pat himself on the back. So yeah, look him up, Barry Horowitz.
Like,
Remember
well,
those people listening in? They're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, my man Barry. Yeah, we go way back."
that's a really cool gimmick. Like,
Yeah, I think so.
that's
Like,
a
oh,
really cool gimmick.
I'm so cool that I pat myself on the back, and I've
Yeah,
got this sweet Jerry Crow mullet. So yeah, I wish I
yeah.
could grow a mullet. Actually, now that we're on the topic of mullets, I know that I brought it up myself. When I was like 5 or 6 years old, like my mom, we couldn't afford haircuts, so she used to give me a mullet, and I have pictures of myself. I had no teeth. Like when they talk about like kids with silver teeth, that was me. and I had a mullet. So there you go. Finding out some information. Yeah, and it was like, and it was not even like a good mullet, bro. Like in the front, like I had bangs that were crooked, and then I had like a flat top in like the top, and then in the back it was like wavy, and but at the same time, like it was just like flowing, and it was flowing everywhere.
Bro,
Yeah,
that's, that's very funny, homemade bullet, you
yeah,
know.
homemade mullet.
So tell me about what's next for Fury Kingdom this year.
I know what you're trying to do, Nitro. You're trying to get the scoop, and you're doing a good job. I just have to say,
No,
you're
I'm
doing
not
a really
trying.
good.
I'm not trying
You're
that.
doing a,
I,
you're
I'm
doing a
just
good job.
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to know what's next for your page, because I know you have
Oh
like
man.
a bunch, like a really like you have 20K of followers on Instagram, and with
Yeah.
that you
Well,
can do a lot. You can do
yeah,
a lot with it.
almost 25, which I never
Wow.
like with me. I don't pay attention, like so much to the numbers and how many likes I'm getting or whatever.
Mm.
Like with me, I always look at, well, what's next.
Yeah.
Like whenever I post, yeah, I'll respond back to comments and stuff like that, but I don't even want to look at the numbers. Like the amount of likes or how many, like followers I have or whatever. I'm just like, well, I lived it. I took the picture. I took the image. I, like fulfilled myself creatively. What's next? And it's always, like, well, what's next? Like, how do I top myself? How can I make this better? So one of my big goals is to work with everybody. I know that like some people, like they say, well, I want to work with, like so and so. But man, wouldn't it be cool though? Say if like Figure Kingdom was like the official photographer for the major wrestling figure podcast, and then he was, like working at the same time, with like Cella Toys and Heels and Faces, and then at the same time, like he's, like shooting for Mattel, he's shooting for Jazzwares, he's shooting for Super Seven, and AEW, WWE, UFC,
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be cool, like if all of these things kind of just like merged together and it was like this giant kingdom, kind of like a figure kingdom.
I got it.
So yeah, at the end of the year, that's the goal. That's where I see myself.
Okay.
Is just working with everyone, and not just that though. Like I want to do a good job. I want to do a great job for everybody. Because with me, I don't just do things, like halfway. It's got to be 110% balls to the wall. Like I can't just give 60% or 80%. Like you can probably even hear, like in the inflection of my voice, like I'm extremely passionate about like everything I do. Not just photography or wrestling. Like it's everything. Like relationships and like friendships. So got to make the most of it. Because I know, like I brought this up earlier, but I was given a second chance at life. Yeah. Not very many people get that. I get it. And so I'm making the most of my time, So, yeah.
Yeah. This is the section that we call this or that. Okay, so Manny, I know you are an old school guy, okay? So what about I make you choose between two options? Did you prefer the WWF or the WCW?
Ooh, that's a hard question because so when I first started watching, of course, it was the immortal Hulk Hogan. But then, like I remember, like being at the supermarket, and then I would just see these magazines with like a bloody Ric Flair, or I'd see this guy with like this flat top, blonde flat top, and then he had like this colorful face paint. I'm like, oh my god, who is this? His name is Sting. Whoa, who are these guys? And then I like beg my mom or dad, like, can I buy this magazine? And then I find out about all these other wrestling promotions, and then I found out, like about like WCW and then ECW and stuff like that, though. So man, okay, so I started off as a WWF fan.
Yeah.
But then again, kind of like now, where it started getting, kind of like repetitive, kind of the same, and then I was just like, well, WCW is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, well, they have war games. Oh, the blood. Oh my gosh, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And so it was, like, I guess it's kind of, like anybody else, like once you start being, like that rebellious teenager, it's those things kind of appeal to you. So yeah, it was earlier on WWF, and then later on, like teen years, it was just like WCW. So if I really had to pick a side now, you're holding a gun to my head, pew pew shooter to my head, it would have to be WCW.
Oh, okay. Like I always feel like WWE like home, like the like everybody that have started watching wrestling. I think that 90%. Okay, let's put it on the 90%. Have started watching wrestling because of the WWE, and you never forget those memories.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, that well maybe it's not as good as it was in the past, but for my case, I started watching like Raw every single night because when I started watching 2015, I started watching in 2015. You're gonna kill me because I didn't witness the Attitude Era of the Ruthless Aggression. Okay, um, but I started watching, and it was a guy. There was a guy that was named Seth Rollins that just betrayed their brothers, and I really enjoyed that storyline. I was really into that Seth Rollins character because Seth Rollins is one of the like that version of Rollins of the Authority Rollins is the few wrestlers, heel wrestlers that I hated. Like I hate to see it, man. The same happens to me. MJF, no, that this doesn't happen to me with MJF. Because now that I'm like older, I know that MJF is doing like a good job, and I can't hate him. I can't hate MJF because he's like the best heel right now, and I can't hate somebody that's doing his job. If someday I go to an AEW show, I will boo. I will boo who I have to boo. I will cheer who I have to cheer because that's about the show. But for me, I've never witnessed like ruthless aggression on a WCW live. I have watched like replays, that are on the network, and it feels good. But I know that you're telling me this, and all the guys that I have interviewed told me about, the NWO that was and the faction of the moment, the guys, that were extremely cool. Yeah, I can watch it. Maybe
Yeah, because
yeah
back in the day, I
tonight,
remember like,
but it's not the same if I watch it like replay
yeah.
than live.
Well, back in the day, it was so mainstream though, where you would go everywhere. Like, say you'd go to school, and a lot of not just your friends though, but like kids in other classes, like they would have like the wrestling shirts. You would go to the mall, you would go to the supermarket. There's like the wrestling T-shirts, and like you see the magazines everywhere, and then you see like posters, like at
That's
your
awesome.
friend's house, and it was everywhere. Like everybody knew about like who the like the characters were. You know, like I remember like being like in junior high when all this like the main factions like with the DX and the NWO. And man, it felt big. Like the next day, you knew that you were going to talk about it with your friends,
Yeah,
and now it's almost like, oh, are you sure you even want to bring up like a WWE show because you're just gonna get laughed out of like out
yeah,
of town because briefly you were talking about like Seth Rollins and the Shield, and I watched all of that. Like that's when I was still watching like everything. I was still watching every single week. Um, but yeah, I remember like that's when Seth Rollins was cool. Like he had the blonde streak in his hair.
yeah.
Like he was the architect. And then I actually did like when he was with the Authority, and like they had Corporate Kane and all these guys, and like he had that cackle. And then what ruined Seth Rollins for me? I don't know if you remember, but a few months back there was a fan who jumped the barricade, and the fan beat up Seth Rollins.
Oh,
So when I saw that,
that that
when
was
I
that was like a few months ago. Are you talking about
yeah,
it?
so when I
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So when I saw that, I was just like, well, that's it for me. I was just like, well, if a fan, who looks just terribly out of shape,
Yeah.
probably never stepped foot in a ring before, if he could beat up Seth Rollins, then like it takes you out of it for me. So it's just like,
Yeah,
ugh.
like I thought the same, but then like I was thinking, well, imagine you're Seth Rollins. You're into your show, into the gimmick, and then out of nowhere comes a guy that's double your weight and tackles you. What can you do? We didn't know what Seth Rollins was thinking.
Dude, do you not have you not seen those videos from like back in the day? Okay, like
Yeah.
go on YouTube after this and Google like fan attacks Austin. Like it was Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the fan goes and he attacks Austin. Man, the referee and Triple H lit that dude up. Like the referee could have taken this fan out, but that's what they did back in the day,
Yeah.
Like there was even like a rule back in like old school classic wrestling where if you got in a fight at a bar and word got back to management, like on Monday that you lost, well, you were gonna be given your, like your walking papers, like you were gonna get fired because, like there was an allure that you were bigger than life, like you should be able to handle your own in the ring, and like if it happened to be so out of the ring as well, though. So yeah, that it kind of just ruined it for me, like with him, I was just like, oh well, that sucks. He's not a tough guy. He got beat up by like some schlub off the street.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was Hall of Fame when a fan attacked Bret Hart.
Yeah, I remember
and
that
revival,
too. And
that revival,
good.
Knocked out the guy.
That's what he gets. That's what he gets.
Yeah.
Once you cross that line, you're free game.
There you go.
And I remember just them just like sucking him in the face like hard, just like oops.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's what you get. Don't cross the line.
Yeah, exactly. So what about I make you choose between? Let's see. You were more like a Ric Flair guy or Ricky the Dragon guy?
Man, again, another hard question though.
That Chinatown match was I have seen it. That's a match.
Because I love them both. You know what I mean? But secretly, like I know I talk about, like positivity and, like doing the right thing and stuff like that though, but deep down, man, I've got a dark streak left in me still though. So gotta go with the Nature Boy.
Nature. Wow, yeah, Ric Flair is amazing.
16-time world champion, and he had it all, and he still does. Like the nice suit, the hair flowing ever so, like beautifully wafting in the wind. Like he was on the Learjets. He had the girls. He had the crocodile shoes, the diamond rings. And it wasn't just a gimmick. Like the dude legit lived for like 30 years.
And Ric Flair now, I don't know how many years Ric Flair has right now, but the man is still living his best life. Yeah. Ric Flair is still wearing Rolex, going on airplanes, and the man is a character. You see Ric Flair, and the man is like a television character. And
yeah, I mean, now the closest thing to that is, like Conor McGregor, but think about it. Who did it first? And people think like, oh, yeah, well, he took that, from Money Mayweather. Not so fast, my friend. Before there was a Money Mayweather, before there was a Conor McGregor,
there was a Ric Flair.
There was the Nature Boy.
Yeah. That's
the originator.
Those gimmicks were amazing. Like those gimmicks that you believe that the gimmick and the person was the same. Those gimmicks were gold, and that doesn't happen right now, like very often.
No, I think they've kind of ruined that. Like when you have a picture of like Sheamus and Ricochet, like hanging out at Denny's at 2:00 in the morning after like a match. I'm just like, oh, well, that takes me out of it.
Yeah. It's social media.
It's just like,
yeah.
Well, still, you know what I mean? Like you have guys, like an MJF now. You don't see any of that. And why? Like you get lost in his character. You love to hate the guy. You're like, oh man,
And
that
it's like,
MJF. I really hope that he gets it. Like next Wednesday.
yeah,
But
it's like
like I
Darby.
said,
Darby's the same.
yeah.
Darby Allin is like, it's not a gimmick. That's how the guy is. You see some YouTube. I don't know if he have like a channel, but he have like some blogs with how's it the skater name, Tony Hawk maybe. And you,
Hmm.
you you see Darby Allin behind the scenes, and the guy's like that. You see some interviews, and the guy's like that because that's his personality. And if you let a wrestler be who he is on television, like the work is gonna be awesome. Look at Roman Reigns right now.
Hmm.
You are forcing him to be the new John Cena, and now Roman Reigns in less than a year have everybody on his hands. I have hated Roman Reigns like for years, for years. His character for me was terrible. Now he turns into this mafia Samoan guy, and I love him. You know,
Because he's like he comes across as a badass. It's
yeah,
it's more believable.
exactly. And you see his social media, the caption of his photos, kind of MJF you were talking about, even MJF's mom with a sign on the shows, they said, I hate my son, things like that. Yesterday, MJF broke a sign on half. I don't know if you saw that. On his way to the
Yeah,
ring, he grabbed a sign,
yeah.
yeah, going half.
I
There you
love
go.
that. Like when his parents get involved. Like in
Yeah,
the gimmick, and like it helps you get lost in the story. So yeah, more
yeah.
stuff like that, and like less poses of them. Like at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I could do
Okay.
without.
So well, here maybe finishing with this interview. Do you have like some wrestling show experience you want to share?
From like me attending the show.
Yeah, for you attending the show, or maybe something related to wrestling that happened to you. That maybe it's funny, or it's something you want to share with here the
Yeah.
viewers.
So the first thing that comes to mind is I remember like being at the Cow Palace in the Bay Area, because I always went to the shows like growing up. Like I always went to the Civic Auditorium or the Cow Palace, or later on like the San Jose Arenas. Like I
Okay.
watched everything from like WWF to AAA wrestling, and like everything in between. But I remember like the most vivid memory I had was when Hulk Hogan's music started playing. Like, yeah, like everybody was excited to see everybody else on the show. But man, it seems like they let the theme go on for like a good 30 seconds to a minute before, and Hogan wasn't coming in yet. And people were getting up. They were, like standing on top of chairs. There was, like men and women, like throwing themselves, like at the barricades and running towards them because they wanted to get close, just to be able just to touch him just a little bit. And just thinking about it now, man, it kind of gives me, like chills all over, because it was such a cool moment though, because like I said, he was larger than life. Like everybody got up for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my lasting memory.
Yeah.
Is Hogan's music playing, people going nuts, and man, he was electric.
Yeah, bro. Like, I have experienced that. Well, Kevin Owens is my favorite wrestler, and 2016, my first live show. I have go to three live shows. 2016, 17, and 19. 2016, Kevin Owens is Universal Champion. He comes to Peru. Well, I live in Peru. If you guys don't know, I live in Peru. And well, for WWE to come to Peru was a miracle for me. Like, and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're gonna see Kevin Owens." And I was like on the entrance area. I was there, and here I don't know. I see like the pay-per-views on Raw, and I don't see this happening. I think it's only like a live tour thing when the music hits and everybody runs through the barricade, and here is like here is a war zone only to touch Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens like stopped to the guy to my left, and I don't know. Kevin Owens was fighting Rollins, defending his Universal Championship, and the guy on my left had like "Let's Go Rollins" or like the Architect logo on his sign, and Kevin Owens grabs it and breaks it in half. You know,
Good.
and I was like, bro, Kevin Owens is there, and I was with a sign that said, "Welcome, KO," and he didn't even look at, he gave he don't give a shit about that, but I see Kevin Owens perform, and that was something, it doesn't matter. It was like 1,000 people or less than that here on a live tour, but the experience on the arena is different, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel at Mania, because on that Texas on the AT&T Stadium is like that's I have seen like the WrestleMania 32 photos, and I have seen the stadium, bro. It's it's like, if you see the stadium, bro, too many people. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna
Yeah.
feel in a
So
wrestling
I
show
have a
there.
favor to ask of you when you go to WrestleMania. So I know that a lot of other people, like we won't be able to go to WrestleMania though.
Okay.
So my favor to you is to one, take a lot of pictures. Two, what I want you to do is I want you to live blog as much as you can.
I'm gonna blog.
From like the time that you
yeah.
So from like the time that like you get on the airplane, blog that. You get off of it, blog that. You're like you're walking down the streets, blog that. You get to your chair, blog that. Like you're watching the show and you're getting involved and you're cheering, feeling the people around you. Really take your time and like remember the smells, like the colors, the atmosphere, the music. That way, like 10, 20 years later, like you can have your, like Hulk Hogan moment, like where I can remember it vividly.
Yeah.
So that's what you should do as well. Is,
I'm literally crossing the war going to WrestleMania, and I don't. For me, it feels unreal to go to WrestleMania, bro. Like, I don't have like the best seats on the arena. I have a good seats. Like I have seen, I can see, but bro, for me it's gonna be an experience. I only want to see KO performing at WrestleMania because that dude goes crazy every WrestleMania.
Yeah, he does. But like when he jumped off the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah, bro. Like, I don't want him to get injured. Another thing that has like my second favorite wrestler is Finn Balor. Okay, 2016 Finn Balor was injured. 2017 comes to SmackDown, Finn Balor is on Raw. 2019 Finn Balor is on SmackDown and he gets injured. So I have never seen Finn Balor perform, and I only need to see Finn Balor perform. That's another thing I want to see.
Well,
and
now's your chance, bro.
Yeah, now's my chance. I want to see Kevin Owens. I want to see a ladder match. I have a lot of expectations. I also like I don't know how to say this. I also I'm waiting to the WrestleMania Access tickets to on sale because I really want to go. I really want to block the WrestleMania Access. I really want to meet wrestlers because it's now or never. I don't live on the US when where I can go to a Monday Night Raw and go to the hotel. No, like this don't happen.
This is your chance.
Yeah.
So make the most of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all about creating memories. So just make sure that you have a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, I know. So at the end of my interviews, I always ask the guest to make me a question. So it's your moment.
Yes, I might have more than one question.
That's no problem. I can answer it.
So let's turn things around on this is Manny Talks.
Talks. Okay.
Nitro Talks is gonna be paused for just a moment. So earlier on Nitro, you were talking about how you live in Peru, right?
Yeah.
And so one of my big things is I watch a lot of documentaries, like on I guess like the spooky matter, like the spooky kind of thing. So I know that Peru is a hotbed.
Or, yeah.
Like a certain, how should I put this? Unidentified flying objects in the sky. It's probably the most hotbed in the world. So my question to you is, number one, have you ever seen an unidentified flying object, like lights in the sky? And number two, are you a believer?
Okay. I haven't, but I think my dad has.
Okay.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. If we're talking about spooky things on Peru, most of them happens on the jungle. I can tell it. I don't live. I live on the other side. You know. But yeah, yeah, I'm a believer, and I'm a guy that loves to see documentaries about UFOs, aliens. I am seeing a documentary on Netflix that proves that aliens are real. So yeah, yeah, I'm a believer about it. But no, I haven't. Some people I know, yes, like they um, they say they have saw something like they don't know what it is on the skies, but uh, for my case, no, I haven't.
So what do you think it is? Do you think that they're military planes that we just don't know about? Do you think that it could be like another life form? Do you believe that it could be like another reality shifting into ours? So if
Yeah,
you had to give your assumption, what do you think that it is?
I'm a guy that it's like I need to see to believe. So if maybe see
Okay.
something like it's like I don't know what it is on the sky, so maybe it can be I don't know on the ocean. First, I see like good. I don't go crazy. Oh my god, that's a UFO. Oh my god, aliens. No, I try to see and to see okay, this move like an airplane. No, it doesn't move like an airplane. They can maybe be okay. I took a photo and zoom it. So if someday happens to me, I will do that. I will probably take a photo and zoom the photo and see what it is. But in my case, like if someday happens to me, yeah, I think it can be like aliens. But
Okay.
I don't like. I don't think that aliens are the way that we imagine. The green aliens. No, I don't think that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it could
Well,
maybe be
well, now that we're talking about it, how do you picture them then? You don't
as
picture them
humans.
being
Yeah, as
okay.
humans, but taller, like with long legs and with long arms, like with humans that don't talk, like communicate via like communicate like not talking, just their voice appears on your head. That's how I imagine
Yeah, yeah,
aliens.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking about this, there's actually because I know that there's like different species of like extraterrestrial life. Like there's different kinds of like races and like the like here in
Hmm.
like planet Earth. Like you've got the Australians and like you have the Canadians and the people from like the United
Yeah.
States and then you have the Italians. Well, I know that they have like a specific race of aliens called the Nordics, where the way that you just described them now, they're like people, only that they're tall. I know that the women have like blonde hair, but they do have like the alien type of heads, where they're
Okay.
very elongated and very long. So if you ever get a chance, yeah, look into that. An interesting story, real quick though, is that my dad has had these dreams because this is where kind of like where it came from. Like he doesn't know anything about this. Like he doesn't watch this stuff, and like he doesn't care. But he would always tell me that these things would come to him in the middle of the night, and he said that the women were very beautiful, but they were not from this planet, and that if he wanted to go with them, and then he said that they would come to him, like ever since like he was like a teenager, and like they would just show up in his room, and then he'd be up on their ship, and he'd be everywhere. Like he said that he would even go like under the ocean, and
Well.
like he'd be in the skies. And now when you watch the documentaries, like they talk about like these underground bases, like in the ocean and in the
Yeah.
sky and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh my god, these weren't dreams. You were abducted. So
Yeah.
so yeah, like my dad was like abducted by like these beautiful Nordic alien women. That sounds freaking crazy just me saying
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I, I I really think that are not real. They have to be.
well, think about it. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know about.
Yeah,
Like how many different species like do we come to learn about every single year? There's new cures, like being made. Like there's stuff being found in the Amazon, and like panda bears. Like for the longest time, they didn't even know that pandas existed until like
yeah,
they went deep in like the forest and they found these things. So who's to say that these things don't exist? So yeah, I think that it's entirely possible. And like how arrogant are we as humans, to think, well, if I can't see it, if I can't touch it, then it's probably not real.
yeah,
Well, have you ever seen $1 million? Like, no, but I
yeah,
know that it exists.
yeah,
There's a lot of things that I haven't seen. I know that I've never seen the planets, but they exist.
yeah, yeah.
Who's to say that?
I got you.
Like other life forms. Not necessarily like little green men, but who's to say? Like there's different planets and different planetary systems out there. Because there's a lot out there that like that we haven't delved into. Like think about it this way. Like they say that we went to the moon. Well, if we went to the moon and if our technology is that much better now, then why the hell haven't we gone back? What did we find on the moon that scared us so bad that
Yeah,
we don't want to go back? Just the questions that go in, like on my mind on a daily
yeah.
basis.
There are some questions that maybe in the future they will have an answer. So you don't have another question, or
Oh man, I've got a lot of questions though, but we've been talking for a really long time, so I don't want to keep you because with me, I could talk all
okay?
night.
Well, I can answer another question if you want, and
All right,
we end the
okay.
interview. Okay, so what you got?
So, all right, so let's keep it spicy. All right.
Okay.
So, my next question to you: we've already talked about the wrestling. We've talked about the plans, the goals, the dreams. We've talked about like Nordic alien women showing up in your room. So, my question to you: say if like on a Saturday night you have one meal to choose before you die, what is it and why?
Wow.
Your last meal.
Last
Like
meal.
those stories. Like with people. Like they go to prison. For
Yeah.
like 30 years and they're on death row, but they get one last meal. And like I've heard stories. Where people are talking about like, yeah, well, I had 9 pints of ice cream as my last meal, and that's how I wanted to go out. Well, Nitro, what is
My
your
last
last meal?
meal. Okay, okay. Let me think because I don't know if you know that here in Peru there is a lot of good food, but a lot.
Oh, I know. You
Yeah.
got there's this place in nearby in San Jose called Jesse's Place. They have the best Peruvian food. Man, they've got some amazing dishes though. I just have to say.
I will choose.
And my personal favorite is el lomo saltado. That's my
Oh,
personal favorite.
yeah. Have you tried Inca Cola?
Oh, I have. It's delicious.
Yes, yeah. It's amazing. It's another film.
Yeah.
I would choose. Okay, okay, okay. Let me think. Let me think. Um, I will choose.
The last meal. After
Bro.
this, keep in mind, like you're going to death row. You're gonna die, so you better make it good. And I want to hear everything. Like, what are you having? For dinner. Is there a dessert? What kind of drink? Do you have bread? What kind of bread? Do you put butter on it? Toast? Like those are the secrets. These are the things that we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, on Nitro Talks.
Bro,
We're
you're
keeping
you're
it spicy.
you're making me think. Okay, okay. So okay, if I wanna my last meal, okay, I'm a guy that loves pasta. Okay,
Oh, I love pasta.
I love pasta. So I think I will root for the pasta. Okay.
What
So
kind of pasta?
oh yeah, I'm gonna show you a pic. Do you know what's gnocchi?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I will go with gnocchi. I think gnocchi. I don't know how do you look for this in English? Because here in Peru it's called huancaína. that it's like sauce that you put on the, well, it's basically a sauce, but here we did with that. Okay, so it's with gnocchi with the sauce of huancaina and a beef, a good steak on the top of that. I think that
Okay, well,
will be.
let me ask you an important
Oh,
question.
or maybe. Sorry, you know what's risotto?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do know this.
risotto. With. Let me look. Let me look
So
over
you
here.
said that you wanted a steak, right?
Yeah.
When you have the steak, how do you have it cooked? Do you have it well done? Do you have it medium? Do you have it rare, medium rare?
No, like no, I don't know how you say in English because I want it red, with some red. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Rare.
Okay, yeah,
Con un poquito de sangre.
exactly, exactly. That
Yes, that's how I
are
have mine too.
are my other option is risotto with mushrooms. Like
Oh, that's delicious.
that's
Yeah.
delicious. So those are my two options.
All right. Do you have a dessert with this?
Dessert, I'm a guy that loves desserts, but picking one for my last meal, it has to be special. Since little kid, I have loved um, I don't know, lemon pie.
Lemon pie. All right. There you
So
go.
I will go with
It's a
that.
little weird. I was thinking, like a lava cake or like chocolate or a pie, but yeah, lemon cake that works.
I
Or
will
lemon?
go.
Is it
Yeah,
lemon cake? Is it lemon cake or lemon pie?
pie.
Pie. Okay, I like pie.
Okay.
Pie is better than cake because cake is too dry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
pie is the way to go.
So that's a really good question. You make really good questions because you just make me think.
Yeah,
So
see, yeah, I like the spicy questions. You know what I mean? Like whenever like I go on like my Instagram, IG stories, and like yeah, it's cool to interact with people, but I always get the same questions. Like
yeah,
oh well,
tips.
what figures do you
Yeah,
want, or who's your favorite? I'm like, well, I hear these stories, like the same questions. Like make them a little spicy. So when I'm
spicy.
talking spicy, yeah, these are the kind of stuff that I want to know. Like let's talk
Okay.
about last meals. Let's talk about aliens. Let's talk about like Nordic chicks showing up in your room at 3 in the morning. You know?
Okay, well, bro, this was a good conversation.
Yeah,
Very
brother.
fun, and well, it's great to know you more and to talk with you about different topics here. So I want to thank you for being here on Nitro Talks with.
Bro, thank you. I should be the one thanking you, man. This has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to
Yeah.
come on Nitro Talks. I've seen you, like have all these amazing, like conversations with all these, like people in the community. So when you asked me, I was just like, yes, now is the time.
Now is the time.
But yeah, brother, thank you for letting me have this platform and have this great conversation with you. Because yeah, it wasn't an interview, it wasn't anything formal, but I
Yeah.
had a blast. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And well, you guys can follow Fear Kingdom on his Instagram. That it's right there. Yeah, I think no, it's right there. Yeah, you're seeing it right there. You're seeing Fear Kingdom Instagram over there. And well, thank you so much again. And well, guys, thank you and see you soon.